Hey everybody, Felix Staffelbaker here. I wanted to make a video because we are really seeing play out here is a opportunity for the Great Reset, where we have central banks and governments with tens, if not hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt on their balance sheets, on the books, in bad investments, all of it, everything. There's total fraud across the board, and the Great Reset would essentially wipe that clean from their balance sheets, and they would then put that onto the public in the form of some sort of bailout for themselves, for the corporate people, while the public and the pensions and the private savings accounts and any personal stocks all just get destroyed, eviscerated, and wiped out to atone for central banker policies that are completely not working and have never worked and have, been an experiment from the get-go, and now we're seeing those have to be remedied. And so what's going to happen is they're going to have a great reset all the debt, and then at the same time bring in a brand new system, which they've been calling for the Bretton Woods moment, a new Bretton Woods moment. And that was when we had a new world reserve currency after World War II, when the U.S. became the world reserve currency. And then later you had the complete debasement and gutting of the system in 71, when we got taken off of that gold standard for that reserve currency. So for the past 50 years we've been literally riding on debt and printed money that's worthless. And so now we're going to go into a new Bretton Woods agreement after they reset everything, and that new Bretton Woods agreement will be a world reserve currency. And if you follow me on Twitter at all, which is @Staffelbaker, I have been, especially a lot of last year, I was talking, and you can hit, search Twitter, Staffelbaker, China, world currency, or, any combination of those kind of words, and you'll see my tweets where I say that China is going to be the new world reserve currency, that China is going to come out with a crypto-backed, Bitcoin-backed, gold-backed, crypto, whatever that is. Maybe it's even a basket of multiple cryptos that they have backing whatever they're using as the world reserve currency. But I see China as the new world reserve currency out of the new Bretton Woods agreement that happens as soon as we have an economic reset. And I think that we're very close to all of this happening. Many people don't even realize what's happening, don't see these couple of things may be connected, or even the fact that a economic reset being called for by Time Magazine and the World Economic Forum, and then a new Bretton Woods agreement being called for by the IMF and the European Union and all the other big alphabet companies, the United Nations. Everybody's calling for a one world currency system and going digital. It's going to be very rapid when it finally takes place. We've been leading up to it, and most people, like I said, have no idea it's even coming or what's happening. And then it's just going to be, we're in a new system, here it is, boom, everybody overnight will have to become amateur financial, almost experts, and it's going to be very difficult for a lot of people. They're not going to be, it's going to be a lot like 2008, people late. If you're learning about what you need to do after it happens, then you're not going to be, part of the prosperous sector of the new system, because you have to think they're not going, and when I say they, I mean just the world isn't going to implement a brand new system that isn't going to benefit somebody. Somebody's benefiting from this, otherwise we would be on the old system. But the old system's so unfair that this is the only way that they can actually move things over without completely breaking down society. We have to go from centralization to decentralization, and then back to some semblance of centralization. And Bitcoin is decentralized, but if we all exit the banks and fiat and move to digital into Bitcoin, that community is centralized around Bitcoin and not fiat. That doesn't mean Bitcoin's bad or anything like that. That just everything's on a spectrum. But you gotta think that Bitcoin isn't going to be useful if you're the only one using it. You have to have a community as well that is willing to use a new system so that it can be decentralized among those people and used effectively and efficiently and fairly. And I really think that we're seeing this all play out. And meanwhile, on the whole top of this, and as a distraction of your attention, not as in it's completely fake or anything like that, but as a distraction of your attention, a lot of people weren't ready for a pandemic or weren't ready for to be off of work for months on end. So people were still trying to catch up on that end of things. And meanwhile, over here, we're already moved into a new system. So if you're not keeping up and you're not just on it, you're going to be drastically behind in no time. And a lot of people, may have got the rug pulled out before, and they're going to get it pulled out this time, and they might bust some teeth. And it's just going to be, I don't know how to impart how important it is to recognize what's coming, what's here, and just how you can actually see it and just make some not even big moves. You can just make some strategic couple of moves and be positioned to be sitting super pretty when all this happens. And if it happens in 10 minutes or if it happens in 6 months, I'm positioned, I'm ready, I have nothing to worry about. I'm not scrambling to try to figure out how to get in or whatever the case may be. Everything's ready to go, and I'm just waiting because I see, many of these macro people and people who've been through this type of situation before, some through, the 71 or even the 44, 45 gold reserve standard for the US dollar. Those people are still around and they're telling us what went on and what happened and how this looks exactly like it. So sure, this video is going to look smart and it's going to look like, oh, this guy knew exactly what he's talking about. But what really is going on here is I'm just paying attention to what's happening in the moment. And I hear somebody say, hey, I was part of the .com bubble and I invested in Google early and sold. At this point, if I would have held, I would have made $1 million, and I sold and lost, 80% of my initial investment. Who does that sound like? That sounds like EOS. Some people bought EOS at 10, 15 bucks, and they've held it potentially or sold since then, but it's dropped all the way down below $3, even below $2 a couple of times. What if they would have held for an extra year? What if they would have held for an extra 2 years? You don't want to be that person sitting there even having that thought. It's going to tear you to bits. I knew where I was when I heard Bitcoin hit 20,000, and I had a wallet in 2011 with 0 Bitcoin in it, and I never bought any because I thought that because of the Silk Road and everything that, you know, the feds would come after everybody. Could have bought it at $1. It went to 20 grand. Not making that mistake again. Whether I'll hold EOS to 0 before I sell it, because I know what's coming, and it's not going there, trust me. I think that only the best stuff's coming ahead, and we're seeing a reset position itself to take place. And when that happens, we're going to see a brand new system implemented under a Bretton Woods agreement that will allow for a new world reserve currency. And I don't think it's going to be the US dollar anymore. So if you're holding US dollars, that's going to be very, very volatile. Could even go to 0 at, you know, it will at some point, but you don't want to be trying to scramble out of it when that kind of situation happens. And I just think that, you know, China will end up being the currency that everyone uses as the reserve. You know, how they fully implement that, the details are still, you know, to be laid out. But I have a feeling that that's what's going on here. So I just wanted to put that out there, get everybody thinking, and just make sure that you are where you need to be when everything goes down. So just put that out there. Stoffel Baker out.